You are listening to episode 200 of the Autism Mom Coach. The meltdown, the number one meltdown mistake you are making and how to stop it. Hi, I'm Lisa Candera, mother to an 18-year-old son with autism and founder of the Autism Mom Coach. After my son's diagnosis at age 2, I poured all of my time, energy, and resources into helping him while completely ignoring the intense anxiety I was constantly feeling. While white-knuckling it got me through the first several years, it completely fell apart when my son hit puberty and aggression and self-harm became part of our daily lives. I needed to figure out how to stay calm while he was constantly dysregulated. But how? No one had the answer, so answering this question became my mission. I have spent years learning what actually works, not from textbooks or therapists who have never lived this life, but from trial and error in my own life. From all of that, I have created tools and strategies that have helped me stop escalating meltdowns, make impossible decisions, and parent for the long game. I've now coached over 100 moms through these same struggles. In this podcast, I share everything I've learned and what I am still learning with you. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. 200 episodes. If you had told me during my first episode over 4 years ago that I would still be talking about meltdowns at episode 200, I would not have been surprised at all. Meltdowns, and really at its core, nervous system dysregulation experienced by people with autism, is a huge part of this life. It affects how our kids move through the day, how they handle demands and transitions, how we parent them, how we advocate for them, and how we teach them to advocate for themselves. On top of all of that, meltdowns are so deeply misunderstood. And I'm not just talking about your in-laws or your neighbor or the teacher at the school who don't get it. I'm talking about even misunderstood by us, the autism parents. And this is for really good reason. Meltdowns are confusing. They can break your brain a little bit. They look, they sound, they feel like bad behaviors. What we have all been taught to recognize as bad behaviors, things you're not supposed to do. And granted, yes, a lot of those things that our kids do during a meltdown, many of those behaviors are not behaviors that we want them to be doing. But they are not the same as behaviors for the reasons that we associate with being bad. For example, a tantrum where a child is having a behavior in order to get something so they can turn it on and off. That's not the case with meltdowns. And here's why. Meltdowns are part of autism. Now, when I say meltdowns, I am talking about the nervous system dysregulation that leads to behaviors that our children exhibit when they are over the top with frustration and stress and sensory overload. Our children, because of their autism and whatever else they have going on, are more vulnerable to the nervous system dysregulation. Autism is marked by things like inflexibility, sensory processing and communication challenges. Frustration tolerance, it's low. Impulsivity is high. Executive functioning, challenged. All of this impacts their ability to manage the stress that they are experiencing. All of this impacts how they feel and perceive the world. And when they are overloaded, when they are flooded, when they just can't anymore, we see meltdowns. That means meltdowns can happen even when the same activity didn't lead to a meltdown for the last 5 days. They can happen no matter how prepared you are, no matter how many warnings you give, no matter how many snacks you provide. Meltdowns are complex and they are dynamic. And there is a whole bunch that we can do to prevent them, to slow them down, to support our children. This is not like a peanut allergy or a gluten sensitivity, where if you avoid all of the nut products and you avoid the gluten products, you have a really solid chance of not having those allergic reactions. It's not the same with meltdowns. Let me give you an example from one of my clients. Her son was in 4th grade. He would come home every day after a pretty long bus ride and a day at school with school and therapy. And he would have a protein shake. And this shake had some sort of milk or yogurt, banana, blueberries, and peanut butter. And the peanut butter was his favorite part. And there was also 2 other boys in the house. So they didn't always have peanut butter on hand. As much as the mom tried to be on top of this, you have 3 hungry boys in the house, peanut butter can go fast. And so there were days where she might not have enough peanut butter for the shake. So she would put in peanut butter powder or even actual peanuts to grind up in the blender. And it was fine. No big deal. Except for the day when her son came home wanting that protein shake. He had been looking forward to it, and there was no actual peanut butter. And he wasn't having it. He was melting down. He was crying. He was inconsolable. And she couldn't really figure out why. Like, we've done this before. There is a substitution. And while that had worked in the past, not today. Because today, his teacher wasn't there. So he had to deal with a substitute. Today, his seat got changed on the bus because of some ruckus between 3rd graders who were bickering. By the time he got home, he was done with substitutions and changes. He wanted his peanut butter in the protein shake. It sent him over the edge. The point is, you can do all the anticipation, but you're never going to be able to have hold of everything that could possibly put our kid over the edge. There are so many variables, and we could not begin to anticipate all of them and plan for them and prevent them. Not realistic. When all of your focus is on prevention, you're on the back foot when that meltdown happens. And more than that, you're frustrated. All of the effort, all the timers, the schedules, the planning, all of that, when that doesn't quote unquote work, you're frustrated with your kid, okay? You're frustrated with yourself. You're frustrated with your child. You are judging yourself. You are judging your child in that moment, because in your head somewhere, you're saying to yourself, this should not be happening. The way I now think of meltdowns, after years of looking at them as preventable and having all of the schedules, all of the strategies, all of the everything, and being so frustrated with myself, being so frustrated with my child, taking his behaviors personally, I no longer look at his emotional regulation, his nervous system distress, and the resulting behaviors as something I can prevent. And so instead of focusing on prevention, and this is how I teach all of my clients inside of my coaching program, we focus on preparation. Now, I want to be really clear. When you let go of the focus on prevention, that does not mean more meltdowns are going to happen because you're not going to do all the things that you do. No, you're going to do those things to an extent that they are actually helpful, but you're not going to put all of your eggs in that basket. And when you do that, you're letting go of this level of stress and expectation that you are putting on yourself. And that can actually help you prevent more meltdowns than you even know, or at the very least, to slow down the meltdowns that are happening, just taking the intensity down lower and not going into the next meltdown because you're not able to get over the meltdown that already happened. When you change your expectations about meltdowns and whether they should or should not be happening, you actually have so much more mental and emotional capacity to manage them when they do, and then manage them in a way that is more effective for long-term regulation. And you recover faster when they do. You're not holding on to this idea that they should not have happened in the first place. No, they happen, and I know what to do when they happen. And this is a motto that I teach all of my clients. I can handle it even if I don't want to, because none of us wants to deal with a meltdown. They're not desirable in any way, but that doesn't mean that you can't deal with it. And so that mindset shift of meltdowns happen not as in a let it ride, because that's not what we're doing at all, but the shift is I am going to stop putting this ridiculous amount of pressure on myself and my kid. And instead, I'm going to support them the best I can, whether or not they are regulated or they tip over into dysregulation and nervous system distress. And believe me, you can do that so much easier when, again, you're not looking at the meltdown itself as a failure on your part or on your child's. All right, everyone, I hope that this was helpful. And I have a little something for you. I've made it for the 200th episode. It is a new free training all about how to reduce meltdowns by 50% in 1 week. And guess what? Part of that plan, that strategy, is letting go of the idea that they should not be
Welcome to the
happening
Autism
at all.
Mom Coach podcast.
That is actually one of the shifts that helps
Candera.
you reduce
I am a lawyer,
them completely.
a life coach, and most
So,
importantly,
if this
I am
sounds
the
like something
full-time
that would be
single mother of a
helpful for
teenager
you,
with autism.
go to the
In
show
this
notes
podcast,
and grab
I'm
it
going
now.
to share
You
with
can
you
grab the link in the
tools
show
and
notes.
strategies
You can
you
go
need
to my
so
website,
you can fight like hell for your
theautismmomcoach.com,
child
and
without
find it
burning
there.
out.
All
Let's
right,
get to
everyone,
it.
I will talk to you next week.